In today's video, we look at true scary stories that will keep you up at night. In a world full of many different experiences, there's definitely no shortage of scary stories. But what makes these stories even more terrifying is that they're true. If you get scared easy, turn a light on. If you're looking for a thrill to keep you up at night, keep watching. Let's get into these true scary stories. One day, my friend Austin asked me, "Brandon, what do you think is the most beautiful thing in the world?" I pondered for a moment and replied, "Well, flowers, nature, or women." Austin then said expressionlessly, "The most beautiful thing in the world is the sight of someone dying, their desperate plea for help. No one else in this world possesses a more desperate heart than at that moment. Isn't it truly beautiful? And when they face their impending death, they fight for their lives with everything they have. It's the moment they act most passionately in their lives. If they don't face death, they will live their lives without experiencing such passion. It's truly tragic. That's why every human being must be murdered." I was taken back by his passionate, chilling gaze. Yes, he was sincere. In an attempt to change the somber atmosphere, I forced a smile and said, "That's an interesting thought. So does that mean you have to be murdered too?" He glared at me and replied, "No, I have to stay alive until the end. I have to kill them all." And then he said something else. "Brandon, let's save humanity together, put an end to their lifeless existence, and create a climax in their lives, just like a flower that blooms and then withers. And the only way to do that is through murder." Fear gripped me, and I wanted to refuse. But when I saw the madness in his eyes, I couldn't bring myself to do it. If I refused, he would surely kill me. A few days later, he showed me a video and said, "Brandon, take a look. Another masterpiece has been born." In the video, a person was hanging upside down. Below them, a large drum filled with water, labeled as hydrochloric acid. The person was screaming for help. Austin said, "Look into this person's eyes. Have you ever seen such a desperate gaze? People in today's world have empty eyes, as if everything bores them. But in reality, they all had eyes as vivid as this person. Isn't it truly beautiful?" He shouted with exhilaration in his voice, as if roaring in triumph. I trembled in fear as he delightedly replayed the video over and over again. Eventually, the person was dissolved in the acid, and Austin cheered and applauded. It's truly perfect. In the end, I went home and reported it to the police, and he was arrested. He sent me a letter from prison saying, "Brandon, because of you, my plan to save this world has been ruined. Just watch. This world will turn into hell. You will feel the weight of your mistake deeply. Or you can come to your senses now and execute my plan instead. Then this world can be saved. Kill all those with lifeless eyes and bring vitality back to this world." One day, my friend Ricky asked me to accompany him to a secret underground zoo that very few people knew about. He claimed it was a unique place where human and animal genes were combined to create extraordinary creatures. Intrigued and excited, I agreed to join him on this mysterious adventure. Upon arriving at the entrance, we were greeted by a bustling crowd and guided by the staff. They welcomed us to the human zoo and emphasized the importance of signing a confidential oath, promising never to reveal what we would witness. It was explained that anyone who broke this oath would become prey to the beasts within. Descending 10 floors underground in an elevator, we arrived at a massive glass wall that showcased living creatures beyond our imagination. The first creature I saw was a towering figure in crocodile skin, standing on short limbs and glaring at us with yellow reptilian eyes. We encountered more astonishing beings, including an eagle-like creature with a human-like face and immense wingspan. As we continued our journey, the zookeepers fed the creatures, which captivated everyone's attention. The spectacle was both unbelievable and shocking, as we encountered hybrid creatures with features ranging from Black Panther heads to snake heads and tiger-human hybrids. They eagerly pounced on the glass, eliciting gasps from the onlookers. Amidst the wonder, someone tried to capture the spectacle with a hidden camera. However, a vigilant security guard swiftly confiscated the camera ensuring the secrecy of the zoo remained intact. The staff then announced the arrival of the main event, heightening the anticipation of the crowd. To our horror, the zookeepers appeared dragging a person in a cage filled with tiger men. The helpless individual was thrown into the cage, and within seconds, a tiger man tore them apart. The shocking revelation followed that the victim was not a real human, but a clone created through genetic recombination. The senseless brutality left me in disbelief, but others seemed unfazed, even expressing interest in owning such creatures as pets. Aghast by the immoral activities, I decided to take action and reported the zoo to the authorities. However, to my dismay, I found myself abducted by zoo employees disguised as police officers. They took me to a laboratory within the zoo where the doctor behind these heinous experiments confronted me, threatening to alter my genetic structure and transform me into a beast. Days passed in captivity, enduring the doctor's relentless study of my DNA alongside that of various animals. Eventually, government agents stormed the zoo, arresting all the staff and doctors, freeing me from their clutches. I returned home eager to share my harrowing experience with my family, but their disbelief overshadowed my story. Strangely, the media remained silent about the incident, and men in black suits warned me to keep the event secret. The zoo vanished mysteriously, leaving no trace of its existence. The fate of the unique creatures and what truly transpired within those walls remains unknown. This is a creepy story of what I experienced while camping with a friend 5 years ago. We ventured into a deep, unknown valley, driving for over 10 hours, and hiking for another 5 hours to reach our destination. As we arrived, a majestic landscape of nature unfolded before us, with clear water, mountains, and fresh air. It felt like we had stumbled upon paradise fit for gods. My friend Brad and I began fishing, enjoying the tranquility of the surroundings. However, after a while I heard a strange sound. At first, I thought it was just a bug or a bird, but as it continued, it sounded more like a person's voice. I turned to Brad and asked if he thought someone else had come to this secluded place. Brad assured me that he was the only one who knew about this spot. Curiosity turned into alarm when I noticed a man in the grass staring at us. He wore tattered clothing that appeared to be made of leather. His blank stare and the odd noises he made, reminiscent of insects, sent shivers down our spines. In his hand, he held what looked like raw meat from some unknown animal. Startled, I shouted and demanded to know who he was, but he remained silent, disappearing into the forest. Anxious and unsettled, we contemplated whether we should abandon our camping trip. However, the long journey prevented us from returning home, so we decided to stay. Gradually, we became immersed in the real and enjoyable aspects of camping, eventually falling asleep. In the middle of the night, I was abruptly awakened by high-pitched screaming. I realized it was Brad, howling in agony. Hastily, I rushed to his tent, only to witness the horrifying sight of the man I had seen earlier, accompanied by several others, gripping Brad's limbs and pulling with an unnatural frenzy. Their attempts to tear his limbs apart were met with bone-chilling sounds of bones and cartilage being torn. Fear consumed me as I fumbled to dial 911 on my cell phone, but my voice failed me. Gasping for breath, I barely managed to speak. Knowing that help would arrive too late, in a desperate attempt to save my life, I fled into the woods, leaving behind the tragic fate of Brad. Tears streamed down my face as I ran frantically, my bare feet suffering from cuts and bloodshed. Eventually, the sirens of the police were heard, and they arrived at the scene. Shocked by the gruesome sight of Brad's torn limbs, they immediately began their investigation. A few days later, I learned from the police that the culprits had been apprehended. They were a family living deep in the mountains, disconnected from civilization, surviving by grazing on grass and hunting animals. This family's isolation had given them an extraordinary grip strength, allowing them to rip Brad's limbs apart with their bare hands. Their ability to communicate had significantly degraded, making it difficult for the authorities to gather information. When questioned about the whereabouts of Brad's limbs, they gestured towards their own stomachs, indicating that they had consumed them. In a chilling display, they even pointed at the officer's limbs, indicating a desire to feast on them. The family members were eventually incarcerated, But due to their potential danger to other prisoners, they were kept in complete isolation. The horror of that fateful night still haunts me. A chilling reminder of the depths of darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places. Now, if you made it through this video, give it a thumbs up. And I want to know what you think about these scary stories down below in the comments, and if you'll be able to sleep tonight.